Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. So glad you could join us. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Sometimes we engraft plants or fruit trees to get different species, and in animals we do a similar process called crossbreeding. Today we see how some animal genetics are preserved from inside a lab. Plus, ensuring the most vulnerable are taken care of through housing solutions, and how to identify if someone is being trafficked. The information unfolds right after this message.
The 2014-2015 fiscal year is almost here. Catch the ceremonial opening of Parliament on April 3 as Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen outlines government's plans for the new legislative year. The estimates of expenditure will also be tabled on April 3. Come April 8 to 10, the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament will consider the estimates. Tune in as the Finance Minister opens the budget debate on April 17. Dr. Peter Phillips will be followed by the Opposition Spokesman on Finance on April 22 and Government and Opposition members on April 23. The Opposition Leader will make his contribution on April 24 and the Prime Minister makes her presentation on April 29. The budget debate will close on April 30 with the Finance Minister. It's the 2014-2015 budget debate. Stay informed and keep watching Jamaica Magazine.
Good day, I'm Samantha Allen and this is your GIS News for Thursday, March 27. Financial analyst Ralston Hyman says Jamaica is well on track to achieving a balanced budget, which, if met, will be the first time in about 18 years. Mr. Hyman was speaking recently on GIS TV's Issues and Answers program. He said the projection was based on several positive outcomes and developments resulting from the government's economic reform program and measures implemented under the 4-year extended fund facility with the International Monetary Fund. The financial analyst said these measures were improving investor confidence, pointing out that investments recorded had increased from $200 to $400 million over 3 years up to 2014.
The investors are responding to the measures that we are taking. Those measures are designed to improve investor confidence in the Jamaican economy. Investments drive jobs. Confidence drive investments. The more we pass the IMF test, the more investors, both local and international, become more confident.
Jamaica's current account deficit now stands at less than 10% of the gross domestic product GDP, coming out at $900 million for the first 9 months of 2013. A current account deficit occurs when a country imports more goods, services, and capital than it exports. The country previously recorded some $2 billion of deficit, which represented about 18% of GDP. Meanwhile, Climate Change Minister Robert Pickersgill is asserting that the country needs to find a balance between the pursuit of its economic development goals and the conservation and preservation of our natural resources. Minister Pickersgill was speaking at a recent exhibition held to mark the International Day of Forests and World Water Day. He pointed out that sustainable development meant a better future for the generations to come.
In any equation, more of one input will of necessity mean less of the other. With a growing population and finite resources, we therefore need to plan effectively for the future, especially in light of the growing threats of the impacts of climate change.
After several years of having to go outside their community to access primary health care, residents of Brainerd, Sioux River and adjoining communities in St. Mary are enjoying the services of a new health center close to home. The new Brainerd Health Center was officially opened earlier this month after a $13 million project financed by the National Health Fund. It replaces the previous facility at Cane Heap, which was destroyed by a hurricane several years ago, leaving residents to travel as much as 10 miles to access medical care elsewhere. That has changed, largely because residents made a proposal to jointly house the health facility within their community center.
I want to congratulate the community for their work, and not just their work, but becoming a critical part in terms of stakeholdership to have said we need a good health facility. And therefore, although we have our community center where we can keep dance freely, we are willing to sacrifice.
It took 4 months to refurbish and expand the existing community center to accommodate the new facility. Arrangements will be made for a separate community center at a later date. Residents of Western Jamaica who want to improve their competencies in technical and vocational skills have more options to do that now following the launch of the Northwest TVET Institute in Hanover. The Kenilworth Academy will be the main campus of the institute, offering all higher-level programs from level 3 to 5 in areas such as construction and hospitality. State Minister for Industry, Investment and Commerce, Sharon Fowlkes-Abrams, says the school will help prepare the labor force for future market demands.
We need a workforce that is capable of filling the jobs to support the many activities that take place in a logistics-centered environment.
The Northwest TVET Institute includes the Kenilworth campus as well as 2 others at Falmouth, Trelawney and Granville St. James. And finally, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has broken ground to deliver more affordable housing solutions to residents of Majesty Gardens in Kingston. The function marked the beginning of construction on 32 units for Phase 1A of the Majesty Gardens housing development. The 32 units are being built by the NHT under the Planning Institute of Jamaica PIOJ Coordinated Community Renewal Program.
Certainly, ladies and gentlemen, it is initiatives like these that will pave the way for home ownership even for those earning minimum wage.
This construction will not only provide housing for the community, but it will also provide jobs. Young people who are trained under the Youth Build program will be employed during the construction phase. Some $11 million will be spent on labor.
In December of last year, 48 strata units built at a cost of $172 million were handed over to Majesty Gardens residents, fulfilling Phase 1 of the project. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Samantha Allen. Thanks for watching.
Sports is supposed to be an integrative force in assuring good values and strong character building. Sports generally, and champs in particular, is not about winning, it's about competition, it's about cooperation.
As it executes its social responsibility, government has been broadening the opportunities for Jamaicans to secure home ownership. Up next, we see how sugar factors into one such initiative.
I would like to see those barracks become a relic of the past.
I feel glad enough because we have been waiting for years and now it's finally coming true.
Clara is among hundreds of persons benefiting from a program dedicated to elevating the living conditions of Jamaican sugar workers.
The time has now come for a fundamental and sustainable transformation of the way sugar workers live. The barracks relocation project was therefore conceived to build decent houses and decent communities for the current and future generations.
It's part of what's called social inclusion, a governance model identified by the Portia Simpson Miller administration as one of its strategic priorities for the 2013-2014 financial year. Through the Sugar Barracks Relocation Project, Clara and others are enjoying the security of a safe, decent place within which to take shelter. The pride that comes with fulfilling a lifelong, sometimes intergenerational goal, and the freedom of having an asset with which to trade, secure loans, and provide the equity for other income-generating ventures.
The government, with the support of the European Union, under the Accompanying Measures for Sugar program, has decided that all residents of the Sugar Estate Barracks identified by the Sugar Transformation Unit are to be relocated to new housing developed on excluded estate lands.
About 876 sugar workers will benefit from approximately 398 houses on 7 sites across the parishes of Westmoreland, Trelawney, St. Thomas and Clarendon. The project is being funded by the European Union to the sum of $1.4 billion.
We are happy to contribute to a sector with such a great potential and are confident that this excellent level of cooperation will continue.
A major consideration of the project is restoring dignity to the hard-working men and women who toil unending to bring sugar and its byproducts to our tables.
When rain fall, we wet up and so on, hurricane come and blow off the top them, but now I'm glad say it a change. So I'm not going to have them problem there anymore.
The dwellings are to be provided at the rate of 1 building per family, including toilet and cooking facilities. The land space will be adequate for housing as well as small-scale economic activities.
This speaks to another component of the barracks relocation exercise, which is to eliminate the marginalization of sugar workers.
We are rolling out an ambitious raft of projects to support improvements to social and economic infrastructure in sugar areas. These include Cane Roads rehabilitation, regional drainage project, and projects to improve clinics, schools, and sporting facilities.
Plans are also on the books for shops, markets, post offices, churches, playfields, industrial areas, community centers, and police stations where necessary in sugar barracks communities. This enabling environment will provide job opportunities and encourage community participation as it sets out to build human capacity.
Overall, we will spend some $3.4 billion over the next 4 years on our social programs.
Ground has been broken for schemes in all 4 parishes, with advance work taking place on the Steelfield relocation site in Trelawney. This $215 million scheme will house some 97 former and current sugar workers from 39 homes. In Clarendon, the Springfield relocation site is to house 209 occupants. The value of this project is $160.4 million. The largest of the schemes is in St. Thomas and is shared between Stokes Hall and Hampton Court with 225 houses. Now in its infrastructure stages, the $305.8 million project will house 486 residents once completed. Over in Westmoreland, serious headway is being made on the Barham, Shrewsbury and Maysmore sites. The 46 houses here are intended for 84 residents. Work is expected to be completed on all sites by November 2014.
Getting these houses right now is very nice because we know so we come from a poor class, and if we did build a house in this time and age, it would take a lot. And we have to thank the government of Jamaica, thank the EU for what they have done for us.
Housing sugar workers, making good on the promise to provide decent shelter for all. Improving the lives of citizens in sugar communities, making social inclusion a Jamaican reality.
The National Council on Education is currently seeking public feedback on the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill, which when established will introduce a licensing regime for the teaching profession. The council is now in the final stages of this process. Groups and individuals interested in participating are asked to submit in writing their comments, suggestions and recommendations by the extended deadline of March 31, 2014. Download the full text of the JTC bill from the council's website at www.nce.org.jm and send your written comments to the Executive Director, National Council on Education, 56 Duke Street, Kingston, or by email to nce@nce.org.jm. For further information, telephone 922-8021.
Teacher, show me how to do what I do better.
The Agriculture Ministry is committed to ensuring that local exports meet international standards. Just recently, the plant virology and plant pathology labs at Bodle's Research Station in St. Catherine received a number of equipment to advance the certification process. We journeyed out to Bodle's to see how technicians working in the veterinary lab preserve quality genetic breed through artificial insemination.
Artificial insemination, a term that's usually linked with women trying to get pregnant. But this technology has been extended to animals, and in the dairy industry, it's big business. Here in Jamaica, cattle are artificially inseminated. Why? To breed the best cows that will produce the best milk, superior animals that give farmers a better chance of improving their bottom line. The Ministry of Agriculture's Research and Development Division, the Bodle's Research Station, has been applying artificial insemination, or AI, to help improve reproduction and the genetics of farm animals.
We here at Bodle's, we will choose both a female based on the bloodline or the type, the genotype, and we'll inseminate them based on which bull we want and which genetic mix we think would give us advantage in producing milk.
The process begins with a manual collection of sperm. It's then taken to the lab where they test for signs of abnormality and determine whether the sperm can make the journey to the egg.
This is what pretty much we're looking for. Sperm cells that have the right anatomical properties in terms of the shape of the head, no abnormalities, no double head.
The benefits of artificial insemination are many. For the dairy industry, it means selected bulls will produce more offspring, thus increasing the selection intensity. Artificial insemination reduces the transfer of venereal diseases, as the collection process allows you to screen and detect them early. During natural breeding, a male will deposit more semen than is theoretically needed. With AI, scientists dilute semen and extend the collected sample to create hundreds of doses from a single ejaculate.
A sample like this is at a grade of about 85%, and that will determine how far we extend the sample. We make the extender to extend the sample. So we move from maybe 5 ml of semen to a total volume of 120 ml of semen, depending on the concentration. So moving from 5 ml of semen, which would pregnate one animal, to 240 straw, which has the potential to breed 240 animals.
Once this process is completed, the straws containing semen are then sealed and properly labeled with the bull's brand number and year. They are then stored in a cold room and frozen by the fumes of liquid nitrogen at a temperature of -80 degrees centigrade. The frozen sample is then placed in liquid nitrogen where it remains viable. Later, when the sperm has been given clearance, it's time for insemination. And after a few months, a sterile set of calves, superior animals that will produce milk of the highest quality. These calves will not be allowed to take milk from their mother or mate naturally as they get older. Some will be transferred to farms to be integrated into the farm population, but for those left behind, the cycle continues. Artificial insemination, agriculture and technology working together to produce a better breed of cattle, more nutritious milk, and better financial returns for farmers.
Michelle, what Shana doing now like how she leaves school?
Nothing. Song for me every day. But a man promise her job a foreign. Them a look about paperwork and everything. Even visa and passport.
What she going up there to do? Who she going to stay with? You going to get a number for her that you can contact her?
When I ask the man, him says stop her myself.
I don't like the sound of this, Michelle. Might not take them one take away your picnic. You ever hear about human trafficking?
Trafficking?
Or trafficking in persons, the same thing. Why you watch that video, yeah? See if it's it them go and do with Shana.
But I'm afraid to die.
Trafficking in persons by law is a criminal offense. Those who perpetrate this crime usually do so in unsuspecting ways. It could be a friendly invitation to another part of the island or another country, or even through enticing job offers. Persons who get caught up in this web aren't necessarily naive individuals, but human traffickers are sophisticated criminals who put a lot of thought into disguising their nefarious intents.
Not all persons who promise job, etc. overseas after graduation can deliver or plan to deliver. So what they do is lure them into thinking that there's a better life somewhere else. And persons will respond to it. What they'll do is that they pay the ticket and they'll invite you up. Once you're there, they take your passports and then you're placed in servitude.
It is at this helpless stage that victims are forced into unpaid labor or prostitution. The best way to get out of these situations is not to enter them in the first place. So the authorities are cautioning persons to be more vigilant.
You are not supposed to be able to get a visa without your attending or that your parents, if you're a minor, right? So nobody is supposed to be able to legitimately give you a passport with a valid visa without you having gone through that process.
Before you even reach that stage, you should try to get answers to some very important questions once an offer has been made to you. Ask, where am I going? Where will I be staying? Who will be responsible for me? And what do I tell my family?
If you cannot give that information out of this encounter that you're offered, if you cannot give that information that can be checked, then you ought not to take it on.
I don't know where I am. They've taken all that I had.
Doreen, I'm glad you showed me this video. It made me want to ask the man more questions because I can't let him take Sean. I don't know where she gone.
I'm glad you understand the signs of trafficking in persons. But keep watching more information in the program.
Statistics across the world have revealed that women and children are more vulnerable to human trafficking. However,
we see young, bright males, young, bright females, university graduates. We have people from difficult circumstances, people in the main who have been tricked, so it varies.
I also think any person who doesn't have sufficient information so that they can assess an offer that is being made to them is vulnerable as well.
To protect all its citizens, the government has intensified its public awareness campaign. Persons are being given information to guard themselves and others against this crime.
We're going to be giving out some business card size facts on trafficking to the workers in the sector who would be exposed. Customs, immigration, the police. So at a moment you get into your pocket and you have the facts, is this what I'm seeing?
We can identify persons being trafficked by certain behaviors being displayed. A person behaving unusually timid is one of the classic signs of someone being trafficked.
Persons who are leaning onto this adult, not like a parent-child kind of arrangement, but it's almost like you're kidnapped, but you are afraid to let anybody know that this is your situation. And we have to look out for those people who are moving around with no confidence.
I like when the government send out information to the people. It's stuck in my head. From now on, I'm taking anything for granted. Thanks for showing me the video.
No problem, man. We have to share information. This is one way of ending the cycle.
This information-based strategy by the government is a cooperative approach with citizens that seeks to preserve and enhance a secure and protective environment for all. Now that we have the information, let us use it to our advantage. Our main source of protection against the trafficking in persons is to be aware of the offense.
If somebody's crying for help, I might go and check to see what's wrong. I mean, it also depends on the area that I'm in. You know, you never know.
I would get curious and see what happened to the person. You understand? Exactly. We have to look out for each other, you know, sometimes. Sometimes I can't set up still, but we have to be curious and try to look out for each other at times.
Well, I will go for help. Or call the police if I have a phone on me or anything.
Well, it depends on the position the person is in. Whatever I can do, I will do it. I don't know, because sometimes we're on the road, you never know what can happen.
Try to help them, or try see if I can help, I try to see if I get some other help for them. Just like this little lady, she was walking with her bag, and then I see her with them and she couldn't manage them, and I help her to carry to where she's going.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
This is where we leave you for today. There's more where this came from. And if you think the internet is cool, find us there. Our website is jis.gov.jm. Our Twitter handle is @JIS News. If you've got an idea for future programs, hit us up at Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. In the meantime, make an appointment. Your TV, our program, fresh content, same time, same station tomorrow. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.